Matt Brown in for Gil Alexander. As always, my friend and yours, Kelly Bidlin, sitting here on the desk with me. We have Jonathan Davis a little later to talk some NHL. Adam Burke joining us at the end of the program to talk some Major League Baseball. And you know what? Anything else that he wants to talk about, Adam's writing about everything over there on VSiN.com. Also the co-host of the Double Play podcast over on DraftKings Network as well. So we will talk to Adam Burke a little bit later in the program as well. Kick things off with what seems to be the growing trend amongst every single thing in sports. And this has always been the case, but the fact is now we have more avenues for everything to get highlighted. We have more ways for people's voices to get out there. And that is their displeasure with any sort of form of refereeing. This happens in football. This happens in basketball. This happens in baseball. We are already moving towards robo-umpires. AAA has robo-umpires that they're trying to figure out if that's the way to go. I welcome our robot overlords, actually, in baseball, because there shouldn't be this guy has a low strike zone. This guy has a high strike zone. This guy has a wide strike zone. No, that doesn't exist. A strike zone is a finite area that exists, and there shouldn't be any difference in the strike zones. And so here we go with, was this a pass interference? Was this not a pass interference? Was this a hold? Was this not a hold? Now we get over into the NBA. Wow, have we had a ton of complaining about the referees and what is going on in these games. Have they been more physical than we have been accustomed to over the last few years? I would say yes. Then you listen to these guys that played in the 80s and 90s, and they go, I mean, that's basketball, man. Like, that's just what we're watching out there. That's just basketball. You guys think that this is so crazy because we have become accustomed to where every single little thing, every single little ticky-tack thing becomes a foul call. Well, is there something that we can do about this to create a happy medium? Because I don't think you can referee a sport one way during the regular season and change that into the postseason. So can we find a way without going to robot referees in NBA? Is there something that we can do to get a little bit more consistency throughout the course of the entire NBA season? I know that you want to make sure that these players stay healthy. You want to make sure that the stars are there for the playoffs, which is why you probably referee this game a little bit lighter during the regular season. But Kelly, when I see what's been kind of going on here throughout the early part of these playoffs, it's almost like two different games that are going on out there. And again, I'm not for or against the way that the refs are calling these games. I don't mind if there's a little bit more physicality in the NBA game, if there was more consistency with that throughout the course of the NBA season. And I don't mind if they continue to referee it the same they did the way because at least there's consistency there. But I kind of do understand why we have this outrage, why maybe fans who have just caught a game here and there throughout the course of the season, and then they tune into the playoffs, and they're kind of like, well, this is not what I saw at all during the course of the regular season. So I can understand why there is outrage. I can understand why these players are getting frustrated. I can understand why these coaches are getting frustrated as well, because they don't really know now. They're almost having to re-game plan. They're almost having to re-understand what a foul is. And we've gotten to the most important part of the season, which is the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that it's all about consistency, right? Whether we're talking game to game, within a game, from regular season to the postseason, I think the one that we've come to just accept is that the officiating will be different in the postseason than it is in the regular season. I think the part that's really tricky about this year, though, is, we have on record at this point that post-All-Star break, the rest of the regular season was officiated differently, and they allowed more contact. So then when you go from, okay, what was play like in December to what was play like in March, and then what's play like now, you're really jumping a couple steps there. So there's a lot of contact. I get it. I'm almost like you. I'm for it. That's fine with me. Just call it consistently on both sides of the ball. That seems to be one of the bigger issues.
And if you're going to allow the extra contact, then you go back to the Miles Turner thing in Game 1, where you, in a critical moment of the game, in which we saw screens like that in the 80s and 90s, every game, multiple times a game. It was never called a foul. That was a borderline even in today's NBA as far as that call goes. And so now you're sitting there and you look at that being called and you go, wait, we officiated this game one way for the first 58 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
and then
there
all
was
the
30-plus screens set that were probably most of them moving exactly like that.
Yeah, so 58 minutes we refereed this one way, and then the final clutch time, whatever, just because it was an important possession, just because it was an important part of the game, now we're going to change the way that we do this. I at least can sympathize with the frustrations, and I'm not saying that I agree one way or the other. Again, no dog in the fight in all of this. I'm not trying to say, I mean, I guess there's a future ticket with the Pacers involved, but, you know, you get what I'm saying. I'm not a Pacers fan. I'm not, I don't have a series price. I don't have any, so I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I can understand the argument. I can understand what's going on. And I can understand even as bettors, right, key moments, because it will come down to one of these weird fouls getting called that's going to either push a game over because a guy goes to the free throw line or cover a spread or whatever it might be that shouldn't have gotten covered. It will happen. It will inevitably affect a bet. It will inevitably affect a player prop or whatever it is, you know, somewhere down the line because the guy gets to the line for 2 free throws that he probably shouldn't at the end of a game. So there are all kinds of implications here that goes down. And so I look at this, and are we a little sensitive? Sure we are. Should everyone have a voice? Probably not. You maybe should have to pass a test to get a Twitter account. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever, something along like every person can't scream from a mountaintop about every single thing that goes wrong against your team. But I do get what is kind of collectively brewing here in all forms of sports, because all we really ask for is consistency.
Yeah.
Like there shouldn't be like, you know, in the NFL, Kelly, we now have so much analytics on everything that we can get like this guy's crew calls more holding penalties than this guy's crew, and this guy's crew has more personal fouls than this guy's crew, and all. And we're like, no, that shouldn't be the case. A personal foul is a personal foul. Holding is a holding is a hold. There shouldn't be variance among the crews. The same way I was talking about with the strike zone. There shouldn't be a low strike zone or a high strike zone or a wide strike zone, because the strike zone is the strike zone. And so it's the same deal in the NBA. I understand it's a little bit more difficult. You're making split-second decisions on what's going on in real time with dudes moving very fast and a lot of things that are going on. However, we're just asking for consistency of what is and what is not getting called on a consistent basis.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we talked about this Pacers-Knicks game last night, though. I mean, you're going to hear a lot about the Pacers have filed a complaint to the NBA over 78 calls from Game 1 and Game 2 that they felt were officiated wrong. That's it, Matt. Only 78, okay? That's all they're asking to address. I don't have much sympathy for Pacers backers and those people complaining, though, last night. Like, it is... Yeah, it was another night with some iffy calls. It wasn't nearly as bad as Game 1 to me, not even close from that side of things. And if you're complaining about that last night, maybe take the time to reflect on you had a whole quarter plus without Jalen Brunson in that game, OG Anunoby missing the end of the game, and you still couldn't close out the Knicks. I'm sorry, but that's the way you got to look at it today.
I said this last night to a couple of Pacers fans on the Twitter machine. I go, are you sure you're not just frustrated?
You're frustrated.
As to what's going on with the series? Because here's the thing. Deep down, you know it's over because you did. What did we say? You and I both said this. JVT said this as we were talking to him about this game. The only way they were going to win this game is if they got a monster performance from Tyrese Halliburton. They got the monster performance from Tyrese Halliburton and still couldn't get it done. It's a 130-121 victory for the Knicks. The Knicks come all the way back and cover, by the way. You know, any number that was out there. Like any number that was out there. Not only did they win, they covered as well in this game. And so we were sitting here saying, like, okay, Pacers, the only way you can do this is if you can get Halliburton to look like Halliburton from the beginning of the season. Halliburton goes 11 of 19 for 34 points. He's 7 of 11 from deep, 5 of 6 from the line. He actually adds 9 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals as well. And that was not good enough, Kelly. You still got a 7 of 18. I mean, it's not the greatest shooting performance out of Siakam, but it wasn't god-awful. I mean, he played decent, I guess. Obi Toppin, 20 points as well. But you just look at this and you say, if you can't get that done after that performance you get from Halliburton last night with the injury situation like you mentioned with Brunson, all of the stuff that went on, man, this is a wrap, right? I mean, I understand there can be people who point to the Knicks and say, dude, they're running this team into the ground. Fair. fair. They played 8 guys last night, and when I say they played 8 guys, one of the guys played 1 minute. So they played 7 guys last night, you know?
I think it's interesting. I bought off a little my position on the Knicks. I was very happy to see them win that game to get me a nice number to be able to do that, just because I am scared of what is OG Anunoby's going to get imaging done today. He was incredible to start that game yesterday. If he's out, I think this series could change. He is such a weapon on both sides of the ball for the Knicks, but specifically on the defensive side of the ball, where he can give Siakam nightmares. If he's going to be out, and man, we're not doctors. We're not doctors.
Yes.
But man, that was the.
We always have to put that disclaimer out there.
That was the immediate hamstring grab that doesn't ever look good. That usually, in my mind, goes immediately to a couple games at least. We'll have to see though. And then Brunson. I mean, I still got more questions than answers with what happened with Brunson during that game yesterday. I mean, that was very odd.
Because it just said foot soreness?
His right foot was sore.
And it just said, soreness. It wasn't like, he felt like it was sprained or, whatever. It was just soreness.
And, I mean, there were definitely, these guys are incredible. These athletes are incredible, because I think there were moments in the second half where you're like, wow, this is really bothering him. And other moments, he's driving to the basket, and you're like, I don't know, he looks fine to me there.
Yeah, I don't. By the way, you mentioned that series price. So if there was a time to buy in and you want to get in before any of this news comes through, you know, and I imagine in the next 10 hours we are going to know a whole lot about this Knicks team. It is plus 330 on the Pacers. I understand it's a daunting task to come back from 0-2 in any series, Kelly, but at this point you're getting plus 330 on a Knicks. If you were betting with that plus 330 on the fact that you're getting a banged-up Knicks team that's going to be without at least one more person somewhere along the way. That is at least still on the table. Again, nothing definitive right now for all of this. Wow, what an opening. So we're going to come back, and we're just going to continue rolling on. And we didn't even get to half of what we were trying to get to here on A Numbers Game.
A Numbers Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
If you do not have a VSiN Pro subscription quite yet, go in. $199 is going to get you 14 months, not 12. We're giving you 2 months absolutely free at VSiN.com/subscribe. But you got to use the promo code ANG. That's short for A Numbers Game.
That's right.
ANG in there at VSiN.com/subscribe. Again, $199 is going to get you 14 months instead of 12. We're giving you 60 free days when you sign up, Kelly. That means it sends you all the way through the playoffs next year. All the way through the NBA playoffs of next year if you do it right now.
I like it. We're slashing prices here at VSiN.
Across the board.
Across the board, down to $199. 2 months free. Get in now. Promo code ANG.
From what they tell us, less than 50 cents a day.
That's right.
From what they tell us. I hadn't done the math, but that's what they say anyway.
Me either.
Yeah, so there it is. So we did a lot of talking, and the game itself, Kelly, really came down to the fact you mentioned Jalen Brunson leaves, ends up coming back, scores 24 of his 29 in the second half. Knicks win 131-21. It was 79-70 Pacers with 9:52 left in the third quarter. The third quarter ended 99-91 Knicks, and then, the story was written from there. But it was a Pacers 9-point lead under the 10-minute mark in the third quarter, and then it just all went to hell from there. And here we now have, a series in which, if you're the Knicks, though, Kelly, and this is us playing hypothetical, and also we all have not been to medical school at all. Not 1 minute. Not one single second, actually. Not one single second of medical school. Brunson's foot's sore. You're up 2-0.
Yeah.
It's a road game anyway. Are you resting him?
No, it's playoffs.
You say, get that sore foot out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is no. We can't go down OG, if it's a hamstring, maybe a little bit different situation. But yes, not a doctor.
Yes.
Immediate reaction to what you just said. No, if you can go, Brunson, we need you every minute that you can go.
We're going to shoot that foot up.
Just like he did second half last night.
Yeah, we're going to shoot that foot up with the good stuff.
The good stuff.
Which is obviously what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. He went in, and he was like, man, my foot really hurts. I need the good stuff. And the doctor was like, all right, I'll be back. I got to go. It's in the other bag.
I think I might have to wait an entire quarter, actually, to make sure we get the extra.
He's like, let me send a text and see, all right, get that over here down, and then we get you the good stuff. And then, boom, there you go. 24 was 29 in the second half. And
I do think Anunoby, that could be a different story with, right? I mean, if it's a hamstring and let's just say it's a strain or something like that, and let's say it's maybe him missing a week or two, right?
Yeah.
I think you want to put him on ice and rest him up and see what you can do at least in Indiana before you think about forcing him back in the lineup. But I think if it's Brunson and it's just looking like it's battling through pain like he was last night, you got to go, bro. Like, sorry, but they need you every second that you can be out there. The Knicks need it.
You know what? I would pay some good money for the good stuff. How come the good stuff isn't available?
We could sample it.
Yeah, like how come the good stuff isn't? We always talk about that they get the good stuff, and it's like, well, what do you? I have means. I have money. I'll pay for the good stuff. How come the good stuff's not available to me?
I think I needed that after the kicking incident with my calf.
Yes,
I needed the good stuff on the field.
You definitely needed.
We were supposed to go to the golf tournament that day.
Yeah, you
had to go home to my couch.
You definitely needed the good stuff that day. We could have
walked around golf.
We just shot you up, let you sit down for 30 minutes, let it kicked in. Boom, we're out there. We're watching some holes.
Maybe one Crown and diet. We're good to go.
It'd have been amazing. Someone make the good stuff available to the public out there. All right, there's your $1 billion idea, absolutely free.
How about the Celtics minus 380 to win the East now? 380. They've won one game in the second round, and they are minus 380.
We do have 2 more basketball games tonight we should talk about, though there isn't much to talk about here in this Cavs-Celtics game. The Celtics are now 13.5-point favorites in this, plus 625 on the Cavs money line. 212 is the total. Kelly, we've seen this thing tick 2 points now. It goes off, well, I guess a point and a half. It start 11.5, goes 12, 12.5 in some books, and now 13.5. As we get to this game, from where we were in game 1, listen, the reason I'm not willing there's a point where there's probably a buy point on the Cavs, but the thing is with me is I think the Cavs are likely smart enough to understand the only chance they have to beat the Celtics in this series in any game is to increase the variance. And the problem is when you increase the variance, then games can get way out of control. Like the Cavs probably, if you sat down and modeled this and like there was a actual true real game theory for the Cavs, seeing how outmanned that they are, they should probably shoot 55 threes in this game.
I mean, that is the Celtics trap, though, right? Like, they want you to try to beat them that way. Yeah, like,
but it's the only way. But what I'm saying, if you try to play if the Cavs try to play them straight up, it's over. They're not going to win, right? Like it is. So it's like you almost have to look at it and say, well, who cares if we lose? If we losing by 25 doesn't matter, right? Like it doesn't matter if we lose by 20. Like we have to go out and try to increase the variance in this game. And what if we shoot 55 of them and we end up making 21 of them? Like, I mean, there is a world that exists that happens through the course of one game. I think that's the only way that they can do this. And so that's why I don't know what the buy point would be on the Cavs for me, but I think that they understand the path to victory has to be doing something like that. And with that, if it's not dropping, Celtics will cover this 13, and they might double it up again, right? I mean, they doubled it up in game 1. They might double it up again.
Yeah, I mean, between that, maybe they do take that approach to the game. Between that and between garbage time, I think this does make it difficult to talk about this point spread specifically. I do like Will Hill's bet. He came on here, talked about yesterday, team total under on the Cavs. I think that's a way you could look for sure. I even like I think he mentioned it as well, the first half team total under. It's probably where I'd look. Just take garbage time out of it if it does become a Celtics blowout. I like that. I didn't end up betting anything, though. I'm with you. I think this one's kind of too tough to figure out almost every game. But I'll still keep going back to the well with Donovan Mitchell. Like you brought up, I had great the other day over on his point prop. I bet it at 29.5 last night. I'm over on that. You got to get above 30 to make me rethink that. He launched 25 shots last game. There's no reason to think that's going to be any less. In fact, if the game does happen to be close, it's probably going to go up because they did take him out at a certain point. So I went with that. Nothing huge for me tonight, but that is my one bet in that game.
Yeah, I think I don't know if there's a number, like you said, under 30, under 30. 32 and a half, something like that would scare me off with Mitchell, just strictly based off of what is the expected volume again. Now, he's had bad game. He could have bad game.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
But we're betting on opportunity. It's the same thing we talk about all the time with player props. Like, we want to bet on opportunity because opportunity at least brings the chance of this hitting. Like, it's hard to bet, dude. So like, I've often said this about Jokic and why he's so hard to bet from a player prop perspective. One, because he plays two different types of games. Like, some days he'll accept the scorer role.
Yes, yeah.
Other days he'll just accept the distributor role. Two, he just doesn't shoot with volume. So, like, you have to have incredible efficiency from a dude like Jokic when you're betting a player prop on him. It's not the same with Mitchell. Like, we know, like, Mitchell, my guess tonight in a game like this where they just got the wheels blown off, like, I think his baseline is what we got in game one, which is 25 shots. And if they keep this even somewhat competitive, Kelly, I'm not kidding you, we could see this dude take 30, 31, 32 shots in this game because there is no other path to victory. They don't have another stud scorer. He has to be the guy that does that. And if you go down in flames with your dude, at least your dude is how you went down in flames.
Yeah, the other one I think to think about, I was just looking this up because I think this does speak to the game script a little bit that you could be there's no way this is accurate. Okay, the one I was going to bring up quick is I feel like DraftKings has tripped me up a couple times with these Donovan Mitchell player props. Points over, I think the other look would be three-pointers over, right? He was 4 for 11. He took 11 three-pointers. Yeah. And think about the game script that you brought up. Absolutely it could turn into that. High variance, let's take a lot of threes, try to beat the Celtics. Took 11 last game. It's probably not going to be too much less than that. Right now, DraftKings, it's set at 2.5 for some reason on his threes. Over juiced to minus 166.
Yeah.
I think 3.5, over 3.5, wherever that's priced at, that would be.
Or just including it in like a same game parlay or something like that,
would be a bet.
Where it's like okay, it's this, and it's just three based off Mitchell and volume and whatever, you know. And again, if the game gets way out of hand too early, then sure, I guess it could. But you're almost like no harm, no foul situation with the Cavs at this point, where you're probably not taking Donovan Mitchell out until the 5-minute mark in a fourth quarter or 6-minute mark in a fourth quarter, because it's like why?
I mean, it's the playoffs. It was pretty gross when the Mavericks did that the other night. They weren't even down to full 20 yet, and it was the 5-minute mark, and they waved the white flag. So I would hope you play to like the 3.5-minute mark, and then you're down like 20. Then I might be more okay with that.
Yeah, and listen. You get a little lighter defense too whenever a team's up big. So like you're talking about those threes, he might get a couple of uncontested looks as well. So stuff to look at in this one. But again, it's just a tough handicap. It's a lopsided series. It's a lopsided game. The variance is really, really wide in this thing. So I just don't know. I don't know where to go with all that. We got one more basketball game to get to here, and then we'll start talking some NFL bets as well, Kelly. I love running through these divisions with you, get our thoughts here on anything that may or may not be heading into our account here on a numbers game on Thursday.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This segment of A Numbers Game is brought to you by ZYN Nicotine Pouches, America's #1 nicotine pouch that requires no timeouts or half times. ZYN is a smoke-free, spit-free, hassle-free nicotine pouch that can be enjoyed anywhere, anytime. What makes ZYN #1? It's available in a deep roster of varieties, including wintergreen, spearmint, and citrus. And you can choose between 2 strengths, 3 milligrams or 6 milligrams. ZYN is made with only 6 simple ingredients and is easy to use. Plus, it delivers up to 1 hour of nicotine satisfaction per pouch. ZYN is discreet, so you can enjoy them indoors or out. Never miss an at-bat or game-saving catch with ZYN. Find your ZYN at your local convenience store or online at ZYN.com. That's ZYN, ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
It's a numbers game here on a Thursday. Matt Brown, Kelly Bidlin. That's new, the pre-done reads. I don't mind it.
Thanks, Ryan Hunter.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
It's great hearing your voice in the morning.
I mean, if I had to power through a 60-second read, I think it would be tough. It'd be tough. I only have so much brain power. I wouldn't be able to do that. Speaking of only,
I'm not sure that was a full 60 either.
Yeah, and also to talking about so much brain power, we have skipped right over hockey. We're more well versed, Kelly, in NBA, so it's easier for us to just kind of get in and start rolling on that. We're 2 segments in. Well, I don't want to make sure that we skip over this. So the Panthers score 6 unanswered last night, 3 in the second, 3 in the third. They win 6-1 over the Bruins. Bruins up 1-0 after one period, and then after that, it was all Panthers. Tie that series at 1-1. We got to the
I can tell you this much, Matt. If you average 3 goals a period, I like your chances.
You're going to win a lot of hockey.
Yeah, you're going to win a lot of hockey games.
And in true hockey fashion, Kelly, the frustration fighting started last night. So,
nice.
Yeah, as it got to I think it was 5-1 at the time as opposed to 6-1. When it was 5-1 at the time, then it just turns to fighting. It's because there's nothing else to do. The game's over, so let's just fight. It was our boy Pasternak.
David Pasternak.
I mean, a full-on fisticuffs.
It wasn't a Tuesday night.
Yeah, there's a full-on fisticuffs.
Oh, with Kachuk, right?
Yeah.
I think it was the 2 stars going at
it. Yeah, and so here's the thing. This is the funny thing about hockey, where we just, we're complaining about air quote ticky-tack fouls in the NBA.
Yeah, these guys just go fight.
These guys go out there. They go, and then they ask the coaches about it at the end of the game. They're kind of like, "Yeah, I loved it. It was great." Whatever. Seriously, both the coaches were like, "Yeah, no, I thought it was great." Yeah, sometimes you just gotta go out there and show the guy you're not as afraid of him, and all. It's it's encouraged. They go out there to assault each other on skates, skate assault, and then it's like, "Yeah, it's fine. That's great. I love it." We're complaining about moving screens in the NBA, and they're all like, "Yeah, they should definitely just punch each other in the face more."
I always have to say, one of the things I hate the most in sports is when we make everybody do the good game afterward. In other sports, in hockey, I love the fact that they can play a game, beat the crap out of each other, and then they always line up afterward. It's like, hey, good game, man.
Well done.
Hockey's always the exception for me.
Well done. That left hook, though, you got to work on that.
Right.
Yeah, that left hook. Not so good. The Canucks rally from a 4-1 deficit last night to win 5-4. They take a 1-0 series lead. That crowd was going crazy in that game, as you could only imagine, Kelly, if you were down 4-1 and then win 5-4, how excited a crowd would be. And so that got them to a 1-0 lead here. 2 hockey games today, Rangers, Hurricanes. Hurricanes minus 170, plus 142 for the Rangers. And then Avalanche and Stars, your late puck drop. Stars minus 122 at home, Avalanche 102. We will talk a lot more about that a little bit later. But listen, Kelly, we got to stay on task here. Mavs and the Thunder. Thunder 5-point favorites. 218.5 is our total. Minus 198 on the money line there. Thunder's plus 164. Mavs, if you think that they win this thing outright. Here we go again, right? It's if I knew more, maybe I could come with a much more informed opinion. But the problem is we know that Luka is not the same. We know that Luka is playing through things right now. What you and I don't know, and could possibly inform a bet in this game, is we don't know the extent of the injury. We don't know what he feels like this morning. We don't know, did he get the good stuff? Whatever it might be, which is very hard because a handicap around the Mavericks obviously is Luka Kyrie-centric, and then it's kind of everybody else. It's just a really tough go for me. I mean, maybe we monitor the Twitter throughout the course of the day. Maybe we get some inside information. Maybe we start to understand at least a little bit better what's going on with Luka. But until I have that information, it would be hard for me to pull the trigger on the Mavs.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get anything. I mean, he's already listed as probable, so he's going to go.
He's going to go.
I think what you've seen out of Luka, unfortunately, is probably what you're going to get. Yeah, and look, I think there's going to be games where it's not going to bother him as much, right? And he's going to be able to do a little bit more. Man, I thought what he looked like in Game 1, though, was really it was really jolting just because it was the first time where he had an extended break, right? At least in the first series, you're like, okay, I don't really know how to read into some of this because he's playing every other night. He had a full, 4 days off in between series. I don't know how much affected with that little closeout where he went down to. He definitely, to me, he looked more bothered, way more bothered after that. So I don't really know how much. That's the biggest question for me. How much of that was just a Game 1 thing that maybe clears up by Game 2, and he looks a little better, but man, the step back just isn't hitting. His 3-pointers the past few games, he just can't. He's not making. He's making a very low clip. Look, I've got big futures positions on the Mavs. I don't have much confidence in right now. Didn't run delay 5 with the Thunder, although that's exactly where I would look. I don't think there's anything wrong with this line. I'd be a little scared of taking Mavericks tonight. I wouldn't be that worried about laying the points with the Thunder. Well, I actually did put a bet in. I played team total over. That's where I went on the OKC side, hoping Mavericks would still pull out a win. But I think Oklahoma City, just from what I saw, offensively and defensively, they still look like the same team through the regular season, through last round, through game one. It is a top 5 offensive and defensive team that's going to run a lot of fresh bodies at you. And if the Mavericks are having the same kind of turnover problems that they were having in game one and rebounding issues, it's hard to see them slowing down the Thunder.
Jokic wins his third MVP last night. Kelly, did you see the video when they announced it? And he just basically went, "I'm so excited."
Yeah.
And whenever, he just doesn't even care anymore. You've won multiple MVPs, so the third one just doesn't even hit anymore.
Yeah. SGA still should have gotten more love than he did from the voters. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all. I'm
not going to say that. I had bets on SGA. Okay,
right,
I didn't think for a second they were going to win after the past couple months since the All-Star break. But he should have gotten more first-place votes than 15.
A congratulations to our friend Dr. Mr. Eric Eager out there, Kelly. According to Joe Person, who covers the Panthers for The Athletic, the Panthers plan to hire Dr. Mr. Eric Eager, who has been over at Sumer Sports for the last couple of years, previously at Pro Football Focus, dating back to our Primetime Action days, a frequent guest on Primetime Action with us. The Panthers going to hire him in an analytics role over there with the team. So, again, it's one of those things where some of these football teams, Kelly, are starting to understand that having someone in the building that can maybe not always give you a gut feeling can give you an actual answer from what is more probable to happen, what is more likely to go on, what is the easiest path of victory according to the numbers, as opposed to, sometimes we get, sometimes some old school dudes want to sit there and just say no, this is the way you do it because it's always been done this way. It's like, well, we have the information. It doesn't mean you have to use it.
Sure.
But at least have the information, have it in front of you. Maybe it can skew you one way or the other. Maybe you're on the fence about something, And so the Panthers are it looks like Eric's going to move over there, and congrats to him. Good guy, obviously a guy that we've known for several years now.
Yeah, biggest thing, hey, it's great when you hear good things happen to good people, right? And that is Eric Eager. So started with him. Congratulations, Eric. Hope it all works out and the transition works out fine. I doubt we're going to be able to have you all in the network as much anymore.
That's what I was going to say. That was the only thing when we were kind of discussing this on the text with the game. We were like, R.I.P. to his betting career, because can't do that anymore. Which that's you are now forbidden from betting on the NFL, which it should be. It should be. Yep. He's inside the building, so can't do that. So R.I.P. to his NFL betting career. He's going to have to take up betting highlight and all these other things that are out there. Cricket, but awesome news for him. One thing before we go to break here, Kelly. By the way, we were going to talk to you guys about our golf picks, but the tournament's been delayed. Heavy rains in the area currently right now over there in North Carolina. They're going to try to get it going in about an hour over there, about an hour and a half, I should say. But that is still TBD. So we'll get to our golf picks at some point, but you're not going to miss anything because it's not going to tee off any time before noon Eastern that they said on that. So, they're moving the hockey team from Arizona to Utah.
Yeah.
They gave the fans 20 choices for names.
I didn't look through them. I was going to go in blind for this, but 20 sounds like a lot.
Well, here's the deal. I'm gonna read them now, and then everybody at home can kind of marinate on them. You can marinate on them over the break, and then
tweet us your answers. And then Kelly Bidlin at Matt Brown.
And then we can come back with what this should be. But so here it is: the frost, the ice, the powder.
So far, it sounds like they really want to fall into the
Utah.
The category of not having an S at the end of your
Mountaineers, Breeze, Mammoth, Black Diamonds, Blast, the Caribou. God, man, please let that one win. Blizzard.
Are there caribou in Utah?
Swarm, Hive, Outlaws, Yeti, Squall.
Are there a lot of bees here?
Fury, Glaciers, Canyons, Venom, and HC, which would be short for Hockey Club.
Okay.
All of y'all's opinions when we come back on that.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
If you don't already have a DraftKings Sportsbook account, do we have a deal for you? Go in, download the DraftKings Sportsbook account. Make your deposit using the promo code VSiN, VSiN. Bet $5. We're going to give you $150 instantly in bonus bets. That's all you got to do. Download the app. Use the promo code VSiN when you deposit. Bet $5. We're going to give you $150 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. We left you guys with 20 different names for the Utah hockey team, which, by the way, they're going to go by Utah whatever. It's not going to be the Salt Lake City whatever. It's going to be the Utah whatever.
That was one of my clarification
questions
during the break, yes. I think that's important when you're discussing a name. How does it flow?
Yeah, and so we did a minimum amount of research on the break as much as we could. We found out that it is the Beehive State, which is why the Hive is part of the deal. We also did something where you have to eliminate one of these. So Caribou, we did the research. Montana, Idaho, Washington, and obviously Alaska are like the main, like the places you find caribou. So
leave it for Alaska and Canada. Come on.
If there's like a few roaming around in Utah somewhere, listen, you can't have more caribou on the hockey team. Like if you can't have more players on the hockey team named Caribou than there are caribou in the state. So that gets done.
I brought it up. It's kind of why I have a problem with the Florida Panthers name. Like, I lived in Florida for a long time, didn't see many Panthers. I get it. That's part of the idea. They're an endangered species there. But you just don't connect that with Florida. You use an alligator or something like that.
So where did you land? So they give you the option, right? This is Kelly Bidlin gets to name the Utah hockey team. Where does it land?
First of all, I'd go back to my marketing team and be like, I need 20 more names. I need 20 more names to consider. But if I have to choose from this list, going with the Utah Yeti.
I think the Utah Yeti sounds awesome.
And it flows, right? That was the importance between Salt Lake City and Utah. Yeti.
The Utah Yeti. Yeah, the Utah Yeti.
There's a couple terrible.
Here's the thing.
Canyons?
Well, come on. And also, like, outlaw. You don't think of the outlaw. Like, you don't think of when you think Utah, the last thing you think of is outlaws.
Yeah. And
you don't think outlaws.
I'm sorry, but I'm skipping all the skiing names. Like, anything to do with skiing. Like that makes you sound badass and tough when you hit the ice. A bunch of skiing terms.
Yeah,
let's go to Park City.
Yeah, he's like,
have a good.
He's like, and tonight the Powder come to town. It's like, no. I mean, come on, like that's just no way.
There ain't no fighting in Park City. Okay, come on.
You know, like we're not scared of the Powder coming to town. You know, like that's not happening. You know what? You might be scared of the Yeti though.
You might be scared of the Yeti.
You might be scared of the Yeti.
There's some cool uniform opportunities with that one, too.
There it is. Utah Yeti. I think we did it. Utah Yeti. We just saved you guys out there. You no longer have to vote. It's going to be the Utah Yeti. Kelly, real quick, a quick note. If you guys did not see this yesterday.
Oh, I missed the beginning of that. It is a fan vote for out of those 20 names.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fan vote. That's what I said. If they gave you the power to do it.
Pick correct, fans. Pick correct. There are some names you can eliminate off there.
This is not a pat on the back. We had absolutely no inside information that this was going to happen, but we did have on Paul Sporer on Tuesday. We did say, hey, maybe you want to throw a Paul Skenes Rookie of the Year ticket into your account. It looks like they're stretching him out to come up sometime pretty soon. Well, that pretty soon is now. So he got the call, and he will actually be starting for the Pirates this week. So Skenes, they saw all they needed to see in him down in AAA, where he was just absolutely dominating guys at AAA, and so Skenes is going to come up, which obviously if he were to pitch well, plenty of time for him to win the Rookie of the Year in all of that. So maybe, hopefully you threw that in there. I put a ticket in as we talked about on that. And
did odds move big time?
You know, it just a couple.
You texted me when it happened. I ran to check if I could make a bet. They'd pulled them all down. I didn't check after they got reposted.
Just a couple of points, right? Okay. So you could find out there at the time, like we said, 14, 15 to 1, something like that. And so now over on the NL side, Skenes is 10 to 1. So it fell 4 or 5 points. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
So that's not bad though.
Not terrible, but again, that's what we were saying. We were saying the second he got the call, it was going to fall, right? And so that's why we were trying to get it in there a little bit earlier. And we do. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he pitches well.
That's 2 Tuesdays in a row, actually, on a numbers game where I don't want to say accidental, where we accidentally predicted some news. But, like, I asked Gil about Luis Arias being traded last week. We were discussing that for all of 2 minutes, and then a day later he ends up getting randomly traded. We were talking about fewest wins market. So, I don't know. That's becoming a odd trend on Tuesdays, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting deal with Skenes because it was almost like the writing was on the wall, but they didn't. They were not saying they were going to bring him up, but they're certainly like, all right, this guy's now started at 3.5, 4 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings. So yeah, they were going to get him up there. dude throws triple. At the very least, he's must watch. He's must watch. Like half of his fastballs are going to be 100 miles an hour as a starting pitcher. That's pretty fun.
He was good watching in college. Yeah.
Can you imagine throwing 100 miles? Like what that must be?
No, I mean
throwing 100 miles an hour.
You pitched once upon a time.
Yeah, but that's got to. I mean, nowhere. I mean, come on.
Let's put it this way: I'm not even standing in the batter's box. Okay, like I used to play these games with Josh Towers, where I'm like, how much do you think you could gas it? Like, how much do you get in there? He's been out of the game too long. I'm not going to trust his accuracy right now. You know, I don't mind getting beamed by that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, you don't want that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
All right, so we talked about these divisions. I want to keep rolling through these and see if there's anything that we like in any of these. And I think this is the most interesting one over on the AFC side of things, Kelly, which is the AFC South. I think the Texans are going to be good. I think the Texans really surprised us last year with all they did. I think the Texans had a good offseason. I do not know, though, if the Texans are half the favorite. You know, I mean, like half the number of the Jags, though, when it all comes down to Texans plus 110 to win the AFC South. Jags at plus 240, Colts at plus 340, and then the Titans out at 10-1. I like the Texans. I think what the Texans have done is absolutely great. I think that Stroud's a stud. I think that getting Stephon. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you could love about this team. But should they be half the odds of the Jags? I mean, it is still the Jags that are bringing in a pretty talented squad. All things considered, they drafted a wide receiver to come in and be, you know, another dude to add into the mix there for Trevor Lawrence and all that. Like, I think the Texans are probably better on paper by a slim margin, but certainly not to the point where 110 to 240.
Okay, I'll go. This might be, it probably is an overreaction, but I don't think the quarterback position's even close. I think C.J. Stroud's that much better than Trevor Lawrence. I only saw it in 1 year. I think he is that much better.
Look at you.
Now here's where this division becomes tricky for me, Matt. It's not, because I agree with you for the most part. Is there that big of a difference as a team whole between the Texans and the Jags? Probably not. There's still a wild card team in this division, though, to me, and that is the Colts. I mean, we saw very little of Anthony Richardson last year, and what we did see was damn impressive, and I think he could be really good too. So I can't wait to see him back on the football field. It's probably going to keep me out of betting mostly anything in this division.
I think I would still bet the Jags. I mean, look. Trevor Lawrence has been good. He just hasn't been great, and that's the problem, right? Because we all thought that he was going to be great. Everyone talked about him being the greatest can't-miss prospect since Andrew Luck and all the thing, all the hype that surrounded him coming in, and he has not been that. But he's been good. And so you have Christian Kirk still on the roster. You draft Brian Thomas, and then you sign, for what it's worth, you sign Gabe Davis. But the thing is Gabe Davis now can be a wide receiver 3. Mm-hmm. And that's probably what Gabe Davis is. And if Gabe Davis is a wide receiver 3, you're probably in a pretty good situation. Like Gabe Davis is probably a wide receiver 3, and at that point, he's probably one of the better wide receiver 3s in all the NFL. And so you still have Evan Ingram, who was a renaissance there for the Jags at the tight end position. Decent offensive line. The defense has always been kind of up and down with that Jags team, but if the talent is there, the players are there. Figuring out if they can do it on a week-to-week basis has been something that's been. I don't know. I think if the bet was to be made for me in this division, it would still be on the Jags. I don't think I'd go Texans plus 110 because I don't think that price. I don't think the price is indicative of the gap between them and the Jags, and like you said, maybe even the Colts.
Yeah, I think this will be interesting to see. We got schedule release coming next week, right? I think this division. I'm looking at win totals. I think that's the only thing I could see myself betting is possibly one of these win totals, and probably most likely one would be Colts over or Texans over. I think I'd rather bet that than the division odds, but that's going to be schedule dependent. I'll be looking at that. And the other team you and I were kind of talking about off the air is, and I have no idea what to make of the Titans either. So, it's kind of another wild card in there. I don't really want to consider if I'm betting a division price here. We
didn't even talk about that yesterday.
Yeah,
so they signed Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
So now their wide receiver room is D-Hop, Ridley, and Tyler Boyd with whatever they're going to do with Treylon Burks, who's is just kind of over there.
I mean,
on the
2
side.
years ago, if you were playing Madden, they got the best wide receiver core in the NFL. So you and I think. I mean, I don't know how much your opinion changed last year. I still think Will Levis has a chance to be something.
Sure.
And that is a great wide receiver room. It wouldn't shock me if they blew this 6.5 win total out of the water. So there's a lot of unknowns with it for me in this division. I'm kind of glad most of them are all in the same division together, so I can kind of just toss this one out. And I don't. Trevor Lawrence, like you said, he's not a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
He's good. I do think C.J. Stroud could end up being that good, though. That's really my point with him.
As we head to break, that's all we need for the AFC West. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to win it. Like, there's the Chargers have no shot. Raiders have no shot.
There, yeah.
Broncos have no shot. That's all we need. That's all we needed for the AFC West. Yeah. We literally needed no more than the outro music here.
I will consider Broncos and Raiders win totals under. That's for sure.
That's all we needed for that one. Let's talk some hockey when we come back.